Hi, it's me, Lance, and today I will be telling a Native American folktale story. It's called The Coyote and the Lizards. Okay, so here we go. Once upon a time, long ago, when the animals could talk to one another, there was a group of lizards playing a game. Coyote had never seen this game played before, and so he was quite curious. He heard all the joy and all this laughter and all this excitement going on that he decided, to trot over and see what was going on. The lizards were on top of a big flat rock with one sloping side, and they would take turns sliding down the steep slope on a small flat rock. The lizards would then carry the small flat rock, put it on their backs, go back up the hill, and do the next slide. This whole time, the lizards, were pretending not to see the coyote as they were playing, and coyote didn't, he didn't like to be ignored. So he, approached the lizards and spoke to them. The coyote said, your game looks like fun. What is it called? And, they replied, we call it slide. One lizard said, trying to be friendly to that coyote, And the coyote asked, hey, can I join you? And, one of the lizards, spoke up and said, you are not a lizard. You don't know how to play your game. And coyote, being very eager, said, I can learn. It looks easy. I can stand on a rock like you did and slide down. Let me try it just once. Being very eager, this game is very dangerous. One of the old lizards told him, you might be okay on the small rock, but if you get on the big rock, it would squash you. Coyote didn't believe him, as none of the lizards had been squashed before. Coyote kept begging and persisting, to try. Please let me try. I'll, do anything. I'll listen to you guys next time. I won't bother you guys. And finally, the old lizard, got tired of, his persisting and said, okay, just once. You can slide down, with the small rock and not the big one. And actually, Coyote, he wanted to ride the big one, that was on his mind, but he didn't want to argue. So, he thought to himself, you know, if I do this little one, I can be able to prove to them, to try the big one. So, Coyote, gets onto this, small flat rock, starts sliding down. Before he slides down, one of the younger lizards, that was helping him with the small flat rock, told him, he's like, why do you want to play your game? You're not a lizard. Not saying a word, Coyote stepped onto the small flat rock, and slid down, tilted downward, and he went flying down, the steep sliding slope. Just before the bottom, he would jump off, pick up the rock, put it on his back, carry it back up the hill. And so he's like, you see, feeling proud of himself. I can do it. Let me ride the big one now, just once. So, the lizards looked at him like he was crazy. Um, like he's out of his mind, like he was insane. And so, like, lizards were like, you have to, you've been warned not to try the big one. But if you want to risk your life, it's your own fault if you get squashed flat. So the oldest lizard, the youngest lizard, set up, the big flat rock for the coyote. They placed the big rock on the edge of the slide, and they all got out of the way. Coyote was, sure of himself as he stepped onto the big rock. As the rock tipped downward, and again, Coyote, he went flying down the sliding slope. But this time the rock, caught onto a smaller rock halfway down the slide. Coyote had flipped into the air, and the big rock as well. Coyote, was scared to death. His ears flopped back, and his claws clawed the air. He hit the ground, and he saw the big rock coming down. He thought to himself, I should have listened. I'm going to be squashed flat, just like the old lizard had said. Just as he ended that thought, the big flat rock fell and squashed the coyote. The lizard's jaws dropped. They're like, oh my gosh, what just happened? And the older lizard was thinking to himself, poor foolish coyote. He's not my friend, but I'm sad to see him, get squashed. And he's right. you know. In the middle of the slide, younger lizard complained, you know. It's not right to leave him there, said another, you know. But we, but we can, but we have to move him, you know. How are we going to get him out of the way? He's in our, you know, playing area. You know, so maybe we should bring him back to life. So we wouldn't need to move him. Then, you know, then he could leave on his own. All the lizards agree that was a very good idea. You know, we should move him, at least try to help him. You know, so we can bring him back to life. You know, and all the coyotes, you know, surrounded him and, you know, started working their magic, and they were miraculously able to, you know, to bring him back to life. Um, Now, when he did come back to life, you know, the oldest coyote told him, "Now go on your way, coyote. Do not play any, you know, more lizard games. We don't want this to happen to you again." And Coyote did not, you know, had to be told twice, so he was glad to be alive. So he got up, you know, ran home with his tails between his legs. So thank you.